started. All right, so we are now recording. So just again, want to mention that if you do not want to appear on the recording on either voice or video, all you need to do is just turn off your camera and mute your mic. You can use chat and that will not appear on the recording. The recording of this will be posted to the library's YouTube channel, probably in a couple weeks or so. So again, thank you so much for joining us for Woman Warrior Project, an evening with the authors. My name is Morgan Yoshimura. I'm with the San Antonio Public Library, and I am very thrilled that we can bring this wonderful program to you tonight. At this point, I am gonna turn it over to Dr. Lulu and Dr. An to get us started. So ladies, take it away.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the party. My name is Dr. Lulu, AKA the Momatrician, otherwise known as the brain behind the project. But as you know, if you want to go fast, you go alone. But if you want to go further, you go together. So this is a community. It's at this point, it is literally a sisterhood. I couldn't ask for a better set of sisters who keep you in check and give you some love when you need it. So welcome to the party. I think it's going to be a good one. I think it's a different energy. Anytime you meet together, it's always a different energy. A lot of things have happened since the last time, so that makes it a different energy. So my name is Dr. Lulu. You're welcome to call me Dr. Lulu. My pronouns are she, her, hers. And my co-host or co-MC for the evening is Dr. An, the one with the bright smile over there. Yes, and the princess wave, because that's how we do it. So I'm going to start by introducing Dr. An. I'm going to read her bio, so just bear with me while I pull it up, and then she will take the mic. So Dr. An, where are my glasses? So some of us are actually 50 and over, and we forgot our reading glasses. So Dr. An, aka Dr. An E. Burnley, aka Dr. An, is an experienced physician, board certified in public health and lifestyle medicine. She has a special interest and passion for training healthcare professionals about diversity, inclusion, and belonging, and their effect on healthcare outcomes. Outside of her professional life, Dr. Burnley is a mother, a hodophile, and an author who aspires to become a world-renowned inspirational speaker. And I'm also going to add that Dr. An is Miss Congeniality as far as I'm concerned. If I could give an award for excellence in loving her sisters and bending over backwards and flipping and doing what she has to do, a full split, it's Dr. An. So everyone, let's just hear it for Dr. An. She has really been like just a champion of sorts. I don't care what time of the night or day, she'll pick up her phone and she will do it. So Dr. An, welcome to the party. The mic is yours.
Thank you, everybody. And you know, Dr. Lulu, she was just very modest. Dr. Lulu, yeah, she's the brains behind this project. She's our editor, creator, and held our feet to the fire. And so we appreciate her. We love her. She's a fearless leader. We avoided her sometimes. Well, we avoided you sometimes when we're writing the book, but ultimately you got us all in line and we have a wonderful product here. So I'm going to welcome everybody. It's a pleasure always, you know, having the meeting like this. I'm always a little shocked that a few short months ago, less than a year ago, I did not know anybody on this forum right now. And right now I have women who I know if I'm having any kind of trouble, you know, they may not be able to solve it, but I have women I can turn to and who can offer me guidance, sound advice, and comfort. So without further ado, I'll take this opportunity to go ahead and formally introduce Dr. Lulu. So Dr. Lulu, she's a former lieutenant colonel and commander in the United States Air Force, recently retired pediatrician, 4-time best-selling author, TEDx speaker, United Nations and international speaker. She's also a youth suicide prevention activist and mother of 4. She spent, were you including Lulu the dog in there? Because she wrote this and she said 4, but her face on the screen, she has 3 humans. She has 1 dog, so whom I met when I was down in San Antonio. So moving right along, she's a mother of 4. She spends her retirement gardening, volunteering, mentoring younger women, and coaching parents of LGBTQ plus kids. Thank you, Dr. Lulu. Go ahead and unmute your mic, and everybody, please, a round of applause for our fearless leader, the brains behind this project, the creator and editor, Dr. Lulu, aka the Mamatrician.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Ann. I think we're going to have a party. I think the only thing that's missing literally is music, and our resident DJ is in the building, Dr. Maduri. So when we need to bust a move, I'm sure Dr. Maduri is she's not going to fail us. I will actually just kind of take the reins here and say what I wanted to say, which is I'm going to let everyone, after you get introduced, we're going to take it in turns. I'm just going to go according to the way the screen shows people, and it may not be the way it is in the little sheet that I have. But when I introduce you formally, I want you to also take a minute and say something first. We're not reading from we're not reading our excerpts yet. Let's just kind of take some, just whatever comes to your heart, whatever comes to your heart. I'm going to also mention that a little over 24 hours ago, my beloved laptop was stolen. The one where I wrote this book in I want to say it was taken by someone who needed it more than I thought I did. And I've come to terms with the fact that if someone needs something, while they can ask me for it, they can also take it. And my job is to forgive so I can heal. And so I've had to do a very rapid forgiveness thing in the last 24 hours. And I bought a brand new laptop, which is actually gold and black, which I told my mom, I said, I'm in my golden years, so 50, and I'm black if you can't notice yet. So this is the laptop of the future, as far as I'm concerned. It is beautiful, and it's helping me soothe my heart. And I, as a coach, have asked myself 2 times only, what am I making the theft mean about me? And I came up with nothing. So sometimes bad things happen to you and for you, and it's what you do with it that matters. And so today we're going to celebrate these women who literally, like Dr. Ann said, they all met in December of last year. So we're not even a year yet. And look how far we've come. That's why they say that the rear view mirror is smaller and the windshield is bigger. So you can always look forward and only have to look backwards a little bit. So welcome to the party. I think it's going to be awesome. And talking about A's, I'm going to introduce Dr. Andrea Stianata. She also goes by Judith with a T, but I'm going to do my own intro, then I'm going to read the official intro that she gave us. So Dr. Andrea and I met on my podcast called Suicide Pages a while back. And I think of all the guests I've had on my podcast in all of my over 265 episodes, Dr. Andrea is the softest spoken of all of them. I think this is a true statement. And when I interviewed her for the show, she was crying and I was crying. And I think everyone was crying for this particular book, the same thing. So Dr. Andrea is someone that is a soft breeze, the one that will get you cold but will not come howling at you. That's Dr. Andrea. She will leave you feeling something after you're done interacting with her. So Dr. Andrea officially, let me see what she wrote about herself, because if you don't know yet, your bio is your official opportunity in life to brag about yourself. So let's see if Dr. Andrea took the bait. Dr. Stianata, MD, is a board-certified physician in physical medicine and rehabilitation. She lives and works in North Carolina. She is passionate about educating her patients regarding their conditions and available treatments for them. She enjoys spending time with her children, reading and traveling. I like that. All right, Dr. Andrea, unmute yourself and take it away. Everyone, please give her a round of applause as she unmutes herself. Welcome, sister. What's going on? You know, I like to say that.
Yes.
What's going on?
Yes. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for this opportunity, Morgan, Dr. Lulu, and all my warrior sisters and our guests. What an introduction, Dr. Lulu. You always make me, almost like I want to hide. You always like bring me out. Thank you. I appreciate it. So just sitting here and looking at all of you, I'm talking mostly about my my warrior sisters. What a transformation it has been for me. Meeting all of you, interacting, and I so look forward every morning when I see the messages, on our WhatsApp, because we have a group messaging, and being in different parts of the world with Pat in the future, and so interesting every single time to me. But it's so wonderful to look forward to it, see what's going on. It's just I have grown so close to you. I feel like in heart and spirit, although we haven't met in person. But my biggest takeaway from our project, of course, it's amazing. It's wonderful. I've never, ever dreamt in my life that I'm going to be a co-author and a successful one. However, the personal growth and what I have experienced over these months and just learning from each other and growing closer together, but in the same time, encouraging each other to put ourselves out there and to stand up for ourselves. You are all inspiring me every single day. I am so thankful and grateful to be here and to know all of you. And Dr. Lulu, you're just, amazing. You're you're our biggest cheerleader, and I am for you all as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. An. Over.
Oh, thank you so much, Dr. Lulu. It's always a pleasure for me also to be in this midst of powerful women and some men. I told Dr. Lulu, I said, my sister is the writer in the family, and I was a bit hesitant to even dabble at this. So it was a pleasure. She brought it out of me. She pushed and pushed and pushed. And I learned so much from this project that I even have the crazy idea of maybe doing it again, in the future. So I think that initial terror you feel as an author, this project helped calm that for me. And so, I just really count myself, privileged and blessed to be in such an awesome company of women. A lot of times people think women, we fight when we're together, but this group of women, if you don't have a group of women like this supporting you, then I just don't know. You need to reevaluate your life, So, yeah, that's it. Dr. Lulu, did you want me to just? I'll pass the mic back to you.
Thank you. So I'm just going to go ahead and introduce Patricia Beckley from the future. So Pat and I met online, like that's where most people meet these days. And that was last year in another book writing group. And we just connected. And I actually thought Pat was of male gender at the very beginning. And I remember at that time, I was like, oh my goodness, and then she was like, no, I was like, oh no, I'm even happier now that, she's a girl. And then when I said, oh, by the way, I'm trying to write a book, she did not hesitate. She was like, not even pick me, just I'll do it kind of thing. And Pat is in the future, literally it is tomorrow over in New Zealand where she lives. But if there's a gentle soul out there, if there's a classy lady, there's a song by, I don't know if it's the Whisperers or who sang, Who's that lady? Who's that lady? That is Pat Beckley. She's a lady through and through. She just had a book launch, and I was like, what? It was like, it looked like generals and ministers were in the space. And by ministers, I mean like Secretary of State or whoever. It looks so classy. And that's the kind of energy that Pat brings to the room. So Pat, without further ado, I'm going to do a brief introduction. So Pat Beckley is an author and mother to one beautiful daughter. She is English, now lives in New Zealand, but also has a spiritual home in the Fiji Islands, which is really very, very unfair because Pat has also written, I don't know what, 26 books in the last 1 year. So Pat, take it away and say something about yourself. Come on now. All right, I'm out.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction, Dr. Lulu. I'm not absolutely sure I deserve it, but I'm very grateful. Thank you. I've actually only written 3 books in the last year, my first 3 books, but I do have another 3 that I've planned to finish by March. That's my goal. So I can't tell you how thrilled I am to be part of this wonderful group of women. It's been such a surprise. Yes, Dr. Lulu did think I was a man when we first met, but only because she'd only seen my name. She'd never seen my photograph. And lots of people think Pat, because generally I'm just known as Pat. Lots of people think Pat is obviously a male name, which is why we now have Patricia on the screen so that no one's in any doubt. But it's absolutely wonderful. I just love being part of this bunch of warrior women. They just feel like home. To have met women from all across the world who are like me, who believe the same things I do, who have the same goals, aspirations. It's just, I can't tell you, it's the most wonderful, comforting feeling. And like Andrea said, every morning I rush to turn on my phone to go to WhatsApp to see what all the ladies have said. You know, I miss lots of things because obviously I'm asleep when they're all up and about doing things. So I'm always just a step behind, but it's just glorious. And just one very small thing, I'm sorry, I'm probably taking up too much time. We have all encouraged each other and we continue to do, but before we finished the book, Dr. Lulu said that I needed to have professional photographs. The photographs I'd sent in weren't a high enough resolution. And so and she said, you must have a proper photo shoot. And I said, no, I hate having my photo taken. And at that point, I was going to pull out of the project rather than have to go and have photos taken. But all these wonderful ladies said to me, don't be ridiculous, just slap on a bit of red lipstick and some high heels and you'll be fine. And so I had a photo shoot, and by the end of 3 hours, I'm going, yeah, I can do this. So that's just one small thing of how these women are so wonderfully encouraging. And just thank you all very much. Thank you.
All right, Dr. Anne, it's your turn to introduce someone. Remember, we said that. You're muted, sis.
All right, so on my screen, the next person that comes up for me is Madhuri Tirumandas. And I'm gonna go ahead and just do her bio, and then she'll go ahead and, talk a little bit more about herself. So Madhuri Tirumandas is a board-certified infectious diseases physician. She practices in New Jersey. She also practices mindfulness regularly and prioritizes health and wellness to be the best physician she can be. So outside of medicine, she strives to add value to the community around her and also to uplift all humans she comes into contact with. She believes in truly living out of purpose, values, and passions in life. So Madhuri, go ahead and say a few more words about yourself. Don't forget to unmute yourself like I did.
Sure, thank you, Dr. Ann. It's so nice to hang out with you all. I think I feel like I don't feel lonely. I think that's that's what summarizes this whole experience. Because when we were about to write our books, I felt very lonely. And then Dr. Lulu, obviously, I could see her like, you know, like light years ahead of whatever I'm going through. And I just couldn't compare. And I was the same way, like, oh, I don't want to take pictures. And obviously, like, COVID is just driving my life crazy. So I don't like to commit to something that I can't do 100%. So I was like, Dr. Lulu, like, you deserve the best. Like, goodbye. Like, I love you. And same thing happened. She's like, nope. You just got to finish what you started. And I'm really glad she pushed me, because now I have this whole sisterhood. And yeah, I just love everybody. So thank you for having me here.
All right, sisters, let's give Dr. Maduri a round of applause. I'm so excited about Dr. Maduri. She's the youngest of the lot. And I think I know more about each girl. So maybe I'm just going to do that. She's the youngest of the lot. She wasn't the youngest. There was a younger person, but she dropped out. And then Maduri became the youngest of the lot. And there's a lot to be said about someone who's still got some of that, you know, baby chicks thing going on. Like she's still got a lot of innocence. And I just love the quiet strength that she exudes, and without knowing, she's been through a lot, because she was also on my podcast. So I'll let you know that my podcast is called Suicide Pages. So when you hear the name of the podcast, I want you to think about the person that I'm talking to. So anyone that's been on my podcast is not someone that is weak-minded, so to say. But Dr. Maduri was able to overcome a lot as an immigrant, and really just reading her stories is the only way I can say that you can maybe get a glimpse of who she really truly is. And so Dr. Maduri, thank you so much for believing in yourself and for coming through for yourself, because like I said, you did it for you. All of you did it for you. Might have thought you were doing it for me, but you did it for you. And that's a lot to be said. So the next person I'm going to talk about is someone who actually went to the same high school as me. And when I asked her to do the project, I don't know if I asked her more than once. I don't even know if I asked her. I can't remember the way. But after high school, so we went to an all-girls high school, a boarding school, and we kind of connected then. But you know, you're a senior and they're a junior, and you connect-ish. But then when I came to the US, and I was like, oh, we reconnected. And then she just happens to be in Canada. I was like, this is great. And then I asked about the rest. She was like, I'm going to do it. But this is someone that I can describe as, literally speaking, the little engine that cooled. Like, she was going through a tsunami, I think is maybe what I can use to describe the emotional turmoil. Now, yes, everyone was going through COVID, but this individual was also going through a personal tsunami, like ongoing. This is why I think she's the little engine that cooled. So her name is JKO, aka Judith Obatusa. I love her like a sister. And every time I see her, and I tell her this all the time, I remember when she was when we were in high school, and there was a play that went on to win the state championship. She was the lead vocalist in the one song. And all I remember is her voice. You know, you remember what you remember. People say you don't forget a smell, but I don't forget her voice. She sang, she would start the song, and then everyone else will respond with the chorus. And I don't want to sing it because I won't do justice to it, but she knows the song. And it's like the beginning of the play begins with this voice. So you remember that, because she was the voice of the school. She was the voice of the play. It was just amazing. And then just kind of seeing her blossom into the woman that she is today, and just commanding her four great nations, she describes them. And that just makes me just so proud to call her my sister. So Judith Obatusa, take the stage, sis, and I cannot wait to see you when we have our reunion in Las Vegas. Yes, I spoke into existence. All right, take it away.
Dr. Lulu, before she actually jumps in, I got her bio. So I'm going to give the bio, and then she's going to go ahead. So Judith Obatusa.
Yes, please.
Ardent, benevolent, and spunky, is a Nigerian Canadian who is passionate about destigmatizing immigrant acculturation challenges amongst migrants of color. She shamelessly shares her personal struggles with domestic violence and the child welfare system in Canada to empower others and help them succeed in their promised land. She lives in Greater Vancouver and is mother to 4 great nations. In her spare time, she enjoys worshiping God, serving in the community, reading, writing, cooking, and creating positive memories with her children. So go ahead and mute yourself, Judith, and continue.
This is so emotional right now. I feel like crying, crying tears of possibilities, tears of gratitude. Because, you know, there's something about us human beings. We don't really appreciate ourselves. And it's always good to hear about yourself from other people, especially people who love you, people who care for you, people who want the best for you. And that's what I have with my fellow authors. They care for me like I were their own. And for many of them, I've never met them. They love me, they give me their time, and I appreciate it. Life doesn't always give you what you wish to have. But whatever life gives you, gratitude always opens your eyes to other possibilities, even when all around you is darkness. And my section in this book is all about gratitude. My life has been a kaleidoscope of challenges, but I'm still here. And I'm not just here alone. Can you imagine? I'm not alone. I'm not somewhere hiding my head under a pillow, unable to speak up, but I'm here. I've got this space. This book was an opportunity for me to speak. And all I just want to say in my few minutes at this time is to encourage anyone here. One of the most terrible things about life is that success comes with struggles. Every time you think about you plan something that you're going to do, you now start having all kinds of challenges coming. Don't stop. Writing this book, I was going through stuff. During the day we did our book launch, I was going through stuff, but I was always showing up. And if you're here and you're going through stuff, I want to tell you, don't stop showing up. Don't give in to the guilt, to the shame, to pity, to the self-pity or people's pity. Just keep showing up. One day, not too far in the future, you will be at a place like this. And they're talking about you and you're like, is it me they're talking about? That's the way I feel today. And the name of that play that she was talking about was called Old Wines Are Tasty. Thank you for your time.
Yeah. Clicks for Sister Judith. Oh my goodness. Old wines are tasty. Are tasty. Are tasty. And I'll stay in the gums. So I'll go bang, 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 bang. Awesome. So Judith, thank you so much. That was fantastic. I thought it was the gods are not to blame, but it's all wines are tasty. You're right. All right. No.
She had to sing. She couldn't help herself.
Sing it. Yes. So the next person I'm going to call on is when I say Sister Mama, I know she already knows who she is. Sister Mama in English means my beautiful sister. Igbo people are not very the Igbo people, IGBO from Nigeria, we're not very good at necessarily showing, expressing affection as far as like physically, But one thing we don't lack is verbal expression of affection. And I'm from the Igbo land, and we will, like the Mexicans and Hispanics and Latinx will say Miguelito for like a small Michael, like a term of endearment. Igbo people will say stuff like Sister Mama, which is a sister that is beautiful, is the literal translation, but really means a sister with whom I'm well pleased. So, English fails woefully, and I've said this many, many times. We have to use so many words to say Sister Mama. Because Sister Mama means when I'm down, my sister, she will know that I'm down. Or if I go to her when I'm down, she will know. So I was laying on my bathroom floor before I went on retirement, and I was just crying. I don't know how Ijoma knew that I was crying. And she called me just to check on me, because that's what they say, right? I'm just calling to check on you. And I was crying, and she was like, wait, why are you crying? I'm like, well, I'm gonna do my retirement. I don't know if I'm ready. And she was like, wait, if you're not crying, you're not normal. And I was like, you're right. She said, if you're not feeling anxious, there's something wrong with you. And maybe she didn't say it in as many words, I don't know. But the point is, that was what she meant. And I got it. I got it right away. I got that it was okay for me to not be okay. I got that my sisters got my back. And you know what? She called me an hour and a half ago. What is this I hear that you lost your laptop? What the fuck? And like, she was taking it in. And then she said something really important that made me realize that, yes, all of us have conscious or subconscious bias is what we came up with in the end. But it was so powerful, and it made me feel so good. There's nothing as beautiful as when you are in Igbo land, we'll say one lady number. One lady number means even in a foreign land, you have a sibling. Or in a foreign land, literally you have a sibling. That in this case, it is literally correct, but also it means that you're never alone, right? Or wherever you find yourself, you can find roots. There's so many ways to explain it. And that person is Ijoma. Ijoma also means a good or a beautiful journey. And it means other things. But she is a good journey, as far as I'm concerned. Yes, we have disagreements. That's how sisters are. You have to disagree, but you don't lose the sisterhood in the disagreement. And I think that's what people sometimes don't get. So Ijoma, Rie, Mo, thank you so much for being my sister that I love so much. And I'm going to let Dr. Ann do her thing.
Thank you, Dr. Lulu. Emotional. Ijoma to Chiobi, a mother, sibling, spouse, friend, and niece. She's a licensed professional counselor, a professional school counselor, educational diagnostician, educator, a first-time author. Ijoma loves to travel and also to eat spicy food. She also loves to sleep. She loves humility and kindness above other things. So Ijoma, unmute yourself and the floor is yours.
Thank you, guys. I believe I'm not a person of a lot of words. And Uche, I couldn't thank you enough, because when Dr. Lulu, I call her Uche, okay. When Dr. Lulu approached me to write this book, I only saw it from one angle. She's my friend. I'm here to support a friend. So why not? Personally, I'm not a writer. I don't like to write. But to do it for a friend, why not? That is what friends are for. Of course, the first part I wrote was so rigid. Being a mathematician, that's what I studied. I mean, I was just so straight to the point, and Uche was like, Ijoma, no, you're gonna do this all over. And I'm like, what did I get myself into? You know, I just wanted to just give you the points, 5 points, 10 points, and I believe you're gonna join all the points together and get this story right. But with that said, Uche, it's been a pleasure knowing you. I know this is not about you, but it's still about you. You are one person that is an open book. And that is what I believe in. I believe in open books. I get to know who I'm working with, who I'm dealing with, and we know what to say and what, you know, how to go about it. This book has opened my eyes, not just to me. You know, my colleagues that have read the book, they come back, and the stories they share, the persons they share the book with, their parents, their grandparents who are immigrants that are asking for the book. I thought I was doing this for Uche to support a friend, but actually I'm pleased to know that I did it for humanity. It's a legacy that I've left for my kids, for my nephews, nieces, and for humanity. The sisterhood, I love you guys. I do once in a while do a direct communication because, like I did say, I'm more of an observer than a talker. I don't talk a lot. I just sit and observe. But I love this sisterhood. And I do know that after the pandemic, Miss Beckley, get ready because you're going to host someone. Judith, you got it. Okay, so it's been a pleasure. I'm so humbled to be here with you guys. Thank you all. I drop the mic.
Yay! So, Ijoma, thank you so much for not falling my hand, Mawundo Budai. That's what we say. That's for those who know, they know. I'm not going to translate that one. So the next person, and it looks like we're almost there actually. The next person is the fashionista of the group. It's obvious because they are messing with their hair, even as we speak. The fashionista of the group. She is multinational, I think, even from the get-go. And it's funny because she was one of the last, I don't know if she was the last, but she was one of the last people that I told about the book. And she was like, sure, I'll do it. And it didn't take too long. And she was like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. Whatever the reason was, she was happy to do it. And she, in my head, in my mind, because of course I don't know them enough, I always used to confuse her with her sister, who I also relatively know. And I might have called her sister's name, I don't know, more than once. But she's such a good person. And I'm going to say this because I can. And I think I haven't said this to anybody before. But one of our sisters, at the very beginning of this whole thing, one of our sisters was going through something really emotional, really personal, something as bad as losing a child. And I just happened to have, mentioned it to Chinyelu. And Chinyelu was one that said, you know what, let's send her flowers. Let's send her gifts. What does she like to eat? Let's send her, I don't know what, either way, I'm just saying the benevolence in this person's heart. The first thing she said, I was like, you know what, we need to send her something. I was like, you're right. And so we had to find a way to, I think I asked the question about who likes to drink tea or something. I found a way to just to figure out what kind of tea she likes to drink. Because I was like, oh, what flowers, whatever. Either way, we got creative. And then we sent her gifts. But it was Chinyelu's idea. And so Chinyelu, I want to say thank you to you for being your sister's keeper, as far as I'm concerned. And I absolutely love your fashion sense. And I love, one of the things I say is a smile and your confidence are the two things that a woman wears that makes them beautiful. And I think you wear both of them very well. So Ijoma is right above you, I'm sorry. So Chinyelu, thank you so much for being in the sisterhood. And You're welcome to unmute your mic. Yay.
But before she does, I'm going to go ahead and just do her bio before she starts speaking. So Chinyelu E. Oraedu, MD. She's a wife, a mom, and also a mentor at the Frank H. Netter School of Medicine. Ooh, Netter, the anatomy book, okay. Quinnipiac University, North Haven, Connecticut. She's board certified in internal medicine and works in the acute care setting, taking care of adult patients. In her spare time, which in these COVID times, probably not a lot of that. In her spare time, she loves to travel and read self-help books with emphasis on entrepreneurship and finance. Chinyelu, go ahead, unmute yourself and say something.
So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Lulu. Thank you so much. I mean, what can I say? Meeting Dr. Lulu was kind of, I mean, we connected when we met. It's about 2-3 years ago at a conference. And we kept in touch, and I always reached out, Dr. Lulu, should I do an MBA? Dr. Lulu, should I, I was always bothering her with a lot of questions about other aspects of my life that I enjoy. I mean, yes, I am very multinational. I was born in England, raised in Nigeria, and now I'm in the US. And during the course of my life, my father used to move around a lot, so I lived in the Middle East. So besides that, this project is something that happened. I mean, I got the call on January 3rd this year. I was driving home from work. I was like, oh my God, I just have to do something else. It's a new year. I don't want to make any resolutions, but something really needs to happen this year. So I was very happy when she called me, and I said, oh, of course we have to do it. We have to have, great pictures. We have to I told her we have to do like a photo shoot. So the whole idea of the book was just very thrilling, and working with women. And it really, really got me thinking that I like medicine. I've been a doctor since 2001, and there's so many other things I like to do. And I've always been like cramped up in this medical space, and I just needed to get out of it. So I think, doing this book, doing this project, meeting all these people, it kind of opens your eye to the opportunity that you can, other things you can actually, delve into. I mean, I like to write. I used to write when I was younger, in elementary school, but for now, I think I do have a better gift of speaking a lot. I can hold a very long conversation, and I do actually tap into the wisdom of older friends. I like to hang out with people who are much older than I am. I think there's a lot of wisdom from that. But there was a plaque that I found at a thrift store. And this plaque is really, it made so much sense. I actually did take a picture of it. And I'm just going to read like 2 lines from it. And it actually says that we are all meant to shine as children do. And it's not just in some of us, it's in every one of us. And that you should let your own light shine, that by doing so, you unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. So, I just saw this plaque. I'm like, oh my goodness. I mean, I bought it, but I took a picture of it because I felt like I needed to have it in my phone. So what I'm trying to say, Dr. Lulu, by being the person she is, the writer, the author, she lifts up everybody, how doing this project and shining, and, she has really encouraged so many of us to really think about how we can, be the best version of ourselves. And for that, I'm really, really, very, very thankful to her. So I'm just gonna stop there so that we can get the night, going. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Morgan.
Yay! And by the powers vested in me, I would like us to take a little break, a 1 or 2 minute break. I think we should. It's been almost an hour. Morgan, I know you had sort of said 2 hours at the beginning. So we subconsciously prepared for that. And so if you want us to shorten it, but we can shorten it. Oh, no. Okay, thank you. I just wanted to take permission. So you don't, because you know, volume 2 of the book. Okay, very good. Because volume 2 of the book is coming and we want to be re-invited. We don't want to overstay our welcome. So thank you so much. But I think we should take a break. Dr. Arn is going to play some music.
Sure. Yeah, sounds good. And yes, so I did advertise this program for an hour. So those of you that are joining, if you can't stay for the full 2 hours, certainly we understand. Feel free to hop off whenever you need to. Because we are recording it, you can always catch what you missed on the recording. So yes, I'm certainly fine with going till 9 o'clock, but just want to let our audience know that if they need to hop off, please feel free to do so whenever you need to. And you can catch the recording. But yeah, a break sounds good. So
okay, so ladies, if you want to get a drink, if you want to get some champagne, if you want to get some cognac, you know, whatever you like, no one is driving back home. So, but Dr. Arn has some music. And Dr. Maduri, thank you for showing us that we need to eat too. So if you want to eat your dinner, whatever you want to. All right, Dr. Arn, take it away.
Welcome back, everybody.
And we are, yeah, we're back. Okay, Dr. Arn, did you want to say a few words before we continue, or you're good?
I'm good.
Oh, you're good. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and read excerpts. So, ladies, if you picked your excerpt, that's great. But I also want you to include reading those 5 questions from, because we've never really talked about those. So I would like everyone to read your excerpt and then read your 5 questions and the answers. I just thought, you know, to kind of put a twist to it. And everyone gets to do that. So I'm going to start because I can and ask Dr. Ann to read hers. Okay, if you're not ready, that's okay. You're ready? Okay. You're forever ready. That's right. That's the spirit. All right, let's take it away. Yeah.
Like the battery, you know, ever ready battery. So my the piece I'm reading is from page 18. Victoria. I was raised in Victoria, now called Limbe, a seaside town in Cameroon, which has been the hometown of several generations of my family. Growing up, women formed the informal neighborhood watch. They monitored us relentlessly and relayed details of our whereabouts, activities, and companions back to our parents. Cell phones had not been invented. Yeah, I am that old. Fixed telephones were rare and reserved to receive overseas calls, but word of mouth traveled at supersonic speeds. Growing up with 5 siblings and extended family members in a loving but strict home, I have mostly happy memories. I say mostly because I also remember worrying about falling victim to grown men who preyed on children. These monsters, often cooks, cleaners, drivers, entered our house on legitimate business. My parents were oblivious to the dangers lurking in their home. So for my 5 questions, the first one, is there anything else you would want the world to know about you? At the time, my response was, I plan to start a lifestyle medicine and wellness coaching business within the next 12 months. And then I realized I really don't want to be a coach. So that was me then. So who would I have lunch with, you know, if I could? And my response was my great grandmother, Jaratu. She was the original immigrant in my family. So my great grandfather went to a different part of Cameroon and did some work there. And when he was leaving, the king in that area offered him his daughter. And she had to travel halfway across the country to a different part, different language, different religion, because her husband was Christian and she was Muslim. So I would really want to talk to her and find out, like, you know, what it was like for her. My favorite color, I love many colors. I cannot dare to choose one. What I'm most proud of. At that time, it was losing over 50 pounds and healing the pain, chronic pain I had in my feet. Okay, and the last question, is there anything else you would want the world to know about you? And my answer, I'm an anxious introvert until I get to know you. So that's it. Dr. Lulu, I yield the mic.
Yay! Thank you so much, Dr. Ann. So I'm going to just do popcorn style. So you're not going to know who's going to get picked, but I'm going to pick Dr. Chinyalu next. Yes, because I can. All right, so it's popcorn style. So be ready, because I'm going to pick on you and you just don't know. Okay, unmute, sis.
So I'm going to read out of page 27, the first paragraph. All right, I'm going to read it from the second paragraph, please. So coming to America evoked mixed emotions in me. I was happy I was beginning a new chapter in my life with Okay. Okay is my husband now. Nonetheless, the idea of leaving my family scared me out of my wits. I was treading on, quote, uncertain and uncharted territory. I had to leave my family, friends, mentors, and my worldly possessions, which I cherished. Sounds kind of vain, right? You can imagine the emotional turmoil I experienced trying to decide which items to leave behind. Behold, this is the dilemma of some immigrants who are relocating overseas. You work so hard in your home country to acquire worldly possessions, then end up living with just two 23 kg suitcases and one piece of hand luggage. On arrival in America, you realize your life has been reset and rebooted to, quote, begin afresh. You quickly realize that life in America is really not like it's portrayed in the posh and lush Hollywood movies. You need grit and grace. So, moving on to the questions. You know, this book was very interesting. I mean, kind of a little interesting, but challenging because Dr. Lulu was always hammering on 2,000 words. Gina, you got to give me 2,000 words. So, you know, so many questions. I mean, there's so many, you know, edits that I had to go through with my story. So what I have here is a couple of questions, maybe headings that I just probably answered. It may be different from the other ladies, but I'm just gonna run through my mantra. So my mantra, and I'm just gonna, this is actually, I should say this. When I watched, I think it was the Oscars maybe 5-6 years ago, and Matthew McConaughey, he won the Oscar for the best actor. I mean, his speech was phenomenal. I mean, if you haven't listened to it, you should go find it on YouTube. So, I mean, his speech actually spoke to me. So I do make reference to it a lot. So my mantra is that every single day I need 3 things. Every single day of my life, I need something to look up to. When I wake up in the morning, I always look up to God because I'm a person of faith. And then I have to look up to something, you know. I mean, I look for, I'm sorry, I'm gonna rephrase it. So I look up to God in the morning. Then I have to look forward to having a great day at work, you know, interacting with my friends, you know, being the great mother and wife to my children and my husband. But at the same time, I always have something I'm chasing. In my life, I always set a goal for myself. I chase something every day. So, and that person I'm chasing is the superhero. It's the best version of myself I am hoping that one day I will evolve into. So that's my mantra. I need 3 things every day. And then when I move on to my favorite food, being Nigerian, I like moi moi. It's like, you know, you can call it like a steamed black-eyed beans pudding. I like it. It's protein, it's healthy, everybody likes it. You can eat it as a snack, as regular dinners, lunch, breakfast. It's pretty much, you know, something everybody enjoys. And of course, you can eat it with plantain, with fried plantain. It tastes very good, and then eggs and stew and all that. So the next question I had here was my proudest accomplishment. So I've been working out a lot even before the pandemic. So I lost like about almost 50 pounds. This, you know, cumulatively within the past almost year and a half. And I had to do it with an accountability coach. So my decision to embark on my weight loss journey is till date my proudest accomplishment, because I not just that from a healthy perspective, you know, whether I was sleep apnea, I was battling with, whether I was like, you know, fatigue, I feel better about myself. You know, I have more clarity with so many, you know, aspects of my, you know, because I had gestational diabetes, so I don't have to worry about that now. So weight loss and wellness is something I'm very, very passionate about, and I still encourage a lot of people to keep moving. And then my legacy, moving on to the next heading I have here, my legacy is my children. I want to teach my children the value of selfless service, sacrifice, and charity. I think it's very important for them to learn at a young age, to learn how to give up, you know, whether it's their money, whether it's their time, whether it's their prized possession to other people. and not exactly to expect anything in return. So it's, it's something we're working on through so many charitable organizations that we're involved with. And someday I hope I'll be able to establish a nonprofit that will help women, children, especially with nutrition. I think talking to people about medication, being a physician, when they're battling food, I mean, they don't even have food to eat. I think we should focus on feeding people before we can encourage them and to take their medications. And of course, who I like to thank, I like to really thank my parents. My parents, they're phenomenal. They taught me the value of sacrifice. I mean, like I said, my father did so much, at some point he had to be overseas for so many years, 20 years, about 20 years, in order to do what he had to do to take care of his family. So sacrifice is something I learned from my parents, and I value when people go out of their way to, support their families and their children. As long as, everybody involved knows that the sacrifice is for the betterment of the family. So I do, my parents are very close to me, and in the book, I mentioned it a lot, that I really missed my family when I came to America. I missed them a lot, and I'm happy that we're all together here at this time. So thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you so much. A round of applause, please. Thank you. That was very nice. If we were in a live event, we will be given a round of applause. I know sometimes you kind of, this Zoom thing is good, but if we were in a live event, we will be given a round of applause. So the next quote unquote victim, who doesn't know that they're going to be picked, is Pat Beckley. Yay! So Pat is going to read an excerpt, and then she's going to answer her 5 questions, and then we'll move on. All right, Pat, take it away.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Lulu. My story starts on page 131. From a very young age, I had always wanted an adventure, to travel the world, to see different places, to learn how other people live. But as a little English girl from a rather poor family who could never afford a car, let alone a holiday, it seemed out of the question. Now, at the age of 70, I find myself happily living on the other side of the world. It all started in 1976. I was 25 years old at that time and married to my first husband. He was offered a 2-year contract in the Fiji Islands, as far away from England as you could possibly get. I was so excited as I stepped off the plane into the warmth of that tropical paradise. It was so utterly different from the place and people I had left behind. In contrast to the cold and wet English weather, it seemed exactly like heaven. Standing outside the airport, despite getting bitten almost to death by mosquitoes, I could not fail to notice how attractive the locals were. Handsome men and stunning women, all with the most beautiful smiles and skin much darker than mine. I was so happy. This was all I had dreamt of as a little girl, to live in an exotic place with people who were so different and yet exactly the same as me. And now the answers to my questions. If you could have lunch with one woman, present or past, who would it be and why? I would have loved to have spent time with Maya Angelou. I feel we would have gotten along very well. She was such a wonderful survivor. Whatever life throws at you, just try to keep going. What is your favorite color? I love the color red. And in fact, I'm wearing it today to prove the point. 2 quotes that inspire me. The first one is O, just O, because that's obviously covers a great lot of eventualities. And the second is, behind every strong, independent woman lies a broken little girl who had to learn how to get back up and never depend on anyone. What is my favorite music? I love all kinds of music, although soul and Tamla Motown and anything played on the saxophone are my favorites. What is your favorite food from your home country? I like most food, especially things that trigger happy memories from my childhood or travels. I also adore French fries and chocolate, but not necessarily at the same time. Although sometimes I do have them at the same time, I have to confess. And that's it. I'm done. Thank you so much.
I love it. I just love it when we end with when you end with something that's funny. That's just so nice, but not necessarily at the same time. And isn't it just beautiful? Like it sounds poetic. As you know, I love to listen to you talk, Pat. I just call you sometimes just to hear your voice. I know you don't know that, but I just call you just so I can hear your accent. But I love when you said, I was so happy. This was all I had dreamed of as a little girl, to live in an exotic place with people who were so different and yet exactly the same as me. That's just so poetic. I don't know. I'm a wordsmith, so I hear words, I think in words. I know it sounds weird, but I really do think in words. So that's wonderful. My sister is an artist. She thinks in color. And I thought that was crazy. So I'm embracing my thinking in words. And my dad and my mom and my dad are both mathematicians. So they think in numbers. So yes, it's a thing. How you think does make it. I think in words. I just romanticize about writing about everything. If it's the color light, I want to say, oh, it's beautiful and tall and elegant, and its light is shining and gives brilliance and exudes heat and makes you feel warm and fuzzy. Like literally, that's my lamp that I'm describing. So yeah, I love that. So the next person is Judith, because I can. All right, sis, take it away, honey.
The moment I've been dreading. Okay, my story starts on page 59, but I'll be reading from page 60. Whenever the question, why Canada, was posed to me, my answer was always to give my children a better life. But in hindsight, I was truly only following my husband. The only thing about giving our children a better life is that we never really asked our children how they felt about it. We had lofty dreams of our new life, but never envisaged the acculturation challenges we would face settling in Canada. Behind the smooth roads, constant electricity, great Wi-Fi, and the novelty of living in the promised land, we did not put much thought into the cultural differences and those intangible but dear connections we were leaving behind in Nigeria. According to some of those I asked, staff at the settlement classes were not allowed to befriend me because I was their client. So many of the first people I met in my community pretended they did not know me when they met me out and about. You see, I must say that I was a well-colonized woman when we arrived, because somewhere in my subconscious, I believed that the white man was a person of integrity who always had the best interest of others in their words and actions. Though it seemed the playing field was equal in Canada, I experienced racism concealed in microaggressions, classism, and otherism. I'm going to stop here. I'm just going to go on to the 5 questions. What is your professional or personal motto? Never give up, because all things, hard things, sad things, bad things are working together for your good. If you look closely for learnings in your trials, you will discover your testimony. What legacy would you like to leave behind? A legacy of love. True love is not an emotion, but an action. It is not a passion, but a decision. It is not a sprint, but a marathon. True love is not given in short, brilliant bursts, but in an enduring blaze. My son once told me that I love hard. That's the legacy I want to leave. A woman who loved hard through tribulations and triumphs. If you could thank one person in your life, living or dead, who would it be and why? My Lord Jesus. His life and death epitomize love. Because he came to earth and walked in my shoes, he feels my pain and strengthens my heart to surmount every challenge I encounter. Because he died to pay the price for the deliverance of those who rejected him, I know that I can keep loving those he brings my way, even when it's difficult. What is your favorite food from your home country? Pounded yam and native okra soup. See it on my face. My favorite food from my home country used to be fried rice and chicken. But now that pounded yam has become a novelty, it has changed. Native okra soup is made with chopped okra and spices. Is there anything else you would want the world to know about you? Success in anything does not come by chance. You must first decide your goal and then pursue that goal to the very end. Know that as soon as you decide your goal, there will be many distractions along your way, but decide not to give up. I want to encourage every immigrant reading this book to know that though, and maybe not even immigrants, like one of us, Ijoma, the deep thinking teacher that we have in our midst, said, you can migrate from within your mind. You can migrate from one space to another space. So I want to encourage every immigrant, regardless of how the distance of your migration, reading this book to know that though the road may be bumpy and the journey long, if you hang in there, you will yet enjoy your promised land.
Oh, Judith, I feel like I need a drink after listening to you. It's so deep. It's not even funny. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. And I think everyone agrees with me. You are a deep person. I want you to know that you are. I cannot wait for the Delta variant to go home so we can have our reunion. It's going to be an all-night situation. Let me just put it that way. And my next, such and such, I don't know, victim to the call is Ijoma. Why? Because Judy just called her name. It was going to be Andrea, but I was like, I'm just going to call Ijoma because Judy just called her name. So sis, if you're ready, take it away, mathematician.
Okay.
No, diagnostician.
Okay. My story is found on page 51. For a moment, my joy knew no bounds as I received the news of relocating to the United States. Then came the sleepless nights and racing hearts. Is it a worthy venture? Who do I know? Do I leave my job, my family? Endless questions. God, show me your plan for me. I often prayed. He sure has a right sense of humor. Prayer was answered. How? I was laid off. A donation of our first bed naturally went to the children, while the floor provided good night's sleep for my husband and I. The struggles were real. Sharing a car, waking the children up in the middle of the night to either drop off or pick up one of the parents. What about walking the aisles in a store, looking for biscuits and directed to the frozen aisle? Alas, should have said cookies and not biscuits. Then came tumbling down new vocabulary. Lines for queues, candy for sweets, soda for mineral. Stress invited its cousins, depression and doubt. Did we make the right decision? No room for second guesses. We have a young family to feed. It is not over till you quit. Now the questions. What is your personal or professional motto? Guide and or teach people how to treat you. Do things that please you, provided you are not intentionally hurting others. The right persons will navigate towards you. If you could thank one person in your life, living or dead, who would it be and why? The one person I will thank are my parents. Oops, that definitely is not one person. The one person then would be my mother, a beacon of hard work, a high school French teacher who at the same time traded in house decorations to supplement her household income. What legacy would you like to leave behind? Having experienced life in 2 different continents is a plus. First, I take the task of being the primary role model for my biological children as sacrosanct. Working towards set goals despite the odds and never accepting less is the legacy I hope to leave for my children and those that our paths cross. What is your favorite food from your home country? Nigeria boasts of amazing healthy dishes, making it difficult to have a favorite. If suya could be considered as food, then suya would be my favorite food. Is there anything else you would want the world to know about you? Cognizant of the fact that I am originally from Nigeria, it is my ultimate ambition to extend the American educational perspective to Nigeria with emphasis on reworking public education for children with disabilities. In my time, counseling was not offered in public schools. However, it is heartwarming to know that this is no longer the case. Thank you.
Yeah, I think if there's anyone that's going to win the elegant woman of the group, I think Ijoma will get that award without any kind of debate. I like the part of God having a funky sense of humor, I must say. So I agree with that. And I like the fact that you said 3 words, I got fired, 3 words, and that was just so impactful, so powerful. I think that's one of the most important sentences in the entire write-up. So my next person is going to be Dr. Maduri, because I can. Dr. Maduri, hey girl, you want to take it away?
Sure. I don't know how I can follow all those. It wasn't really my choice to move to a brand new country. I have done it before. We lived in New Zealand briefly, and I disliked it as a child. Oh, I'm on page 75. Sorry about that. We lived in New Zealand briefly, and I disliked it as a child. This was somehow supposed to be better. I wasn't too sure about that as a skinny, dark-skinned, ambitious little girl who always was polite and nice to others. My journey began in New Jersey high school. I was very alone for most of 9th grade. I didn't like lunch because I couldn't afford it, and my mom packed the most boring lunches of all. Break times were lonely. At least in class, people copied my math homework, or I was part of some group project. These kids were friends, right? Nope. I realized soon that there were others like me, and all of us formed a group. We found some hope in the hopeless high school hallways. I got into college, and our close-knit group had to split up. My parents wanted me to choose medicine or engineering. I had to choose quickly because they couldn't afford to pay for my medical degree in America, and it was shorter to do it in India. I thought about my grandfather, who really wanted me to become a doctor because he believed there's no other profession like it. I've always been passionate about helping others. Maybe medicine is the way to go. So with my 5 questions, I wrote it as just kind of titles, so I'll read it out that way. So my proudest accomplishment, I think one of my biggest accomplishments in life is overcoming depression and anxiety while being a brand new medical resident. Residency in itself carries its new challenges, but reaching out for help, accepting that anxiety and depression are a problem for me will always be my proudest moment. My biggest life lesson is basically, let me read this. I don't think I've ever been exhausted as I currently am being a COVID doctor. I experienced depression and anxiety through residency, but out of that came a lot of mental health support work I started myself. And I started a wellness program in residency. I did stress management and resiliency training for my fellows during my fellowship. And that's basically, that would probably be my biggest life lesson. Let's see. My 2 favorite quotes. You see, some things I can teach you, some you learn from books, but there are things that, well, you have to see and feel. And that's from one of my favorite books called 1,000 Splendid Suns by Khaled Hosseini. And one of my elementary school teachers who said this and still like plays in my head, always do the right thing, not because you may gain something by it, but because it's right. My dream legacy would be to leave behind an organization that continues to help underserved areas of the world with food, healthcare, and basic necessities of life. I'm very passionate about nonprofit work, as Dr. Chinelu said. And for the next generation, do not give up on your passion and dreams. Life gets in the way, I get it, but life isn't supposed to be fun, easy, and chill all the time. In fact, you grow the most in your lowest points in your life, and we're all born for a purpose. Connect with it, connect with your inner power, because in the lowest points of life, that's what will carry you through. And then you can truly be empowered and thus empower everyone around you. And that's it for me.
So from the mouth of babes, right? I just love it. I mean, I really love your piece. And I think I told you that, Madhuri. I told you that your piece was really larger than you. And that's so important. One of my younger brothers told me when I was thinking about quitting medicine, he was like, well, if your dreams don't make your knees quiver, they're not big enough. And Madhuri, I really love your piece. I thought it was innocent and powerful, and you said the right words at the right places. And of course, I love the mental health warrior championing thing that you're doing, and it's just so powerful. And to be so young, I think it doesn't take anything from me when I see your light and see you shining bright like a diamond and acknowledge it. Like I think it was Chinyere that said, my light shining does not dim yours. If anything at all, it makes the room that much brighter. In not as many words, but yeah. So Madhuri, I really appreciate that. And so I left
Dr. Lulu, could I say something? Could I say something
please,
to Madhuri?
Of course.
Yeah, Madhuri, I do appreciate you sharing this piece, because being in education, I do come in contact with students from time to time, especially immigrant students. And sometimes I just feel their loneliness. It just pierces my soul to watch them sit by themselves in the cafeteria. And then listening to you say this, it's just unbelievable. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you, Jilma. I mean, I think I just have to say that I wouldn't been able to say this even like 2-3 years ago. It took a lot of work to even come out, I think. I think now it's like, oh, it's great. Like I wrote this book and I'm able to share it. But like we talked about, I'm still fearful of, I still haven't given this book to my parents. but I'm just like to even come out and say it, if it can help even one soul out there, that's really my purpose. So thank you for acknowledging that. I appreciate it.
And to think that Madhuri was really, she told me, I think 2 or 3 times, like, I can't do it. And I had to beg and plead, and this Chinyel is crying, Judith is crying, Judith is crying. It's real. Madhuri, I pleaded with, I said, Madhuri, after she came on my podcast, I said, you have to write this down. You have to write this down. I wasn't asking, I was telling. And I'm so thankful that I stayed on your case, and your piece was beautiful. And she was like, oh my God, for real? I said, yes, you don't have to do anything. I don't think I edited much, if I remember. I didn't have too much to edit because it was so raw. You just have to read the whole thing. It just take everything together, so raw and so real, and just is good, Madhuri. It's a good piece.
Yeah.
I feel like Oprah, okay? Oprah says, oh, this book is so good. Everybody wants to get it. You get that. And she talks about, I love the way Oprah uses words. I want to be like her when I grow up. But yeah, Madhuri, your piece was good. And Ijoma is stoic. Ijoma is stoic. I don't think in my time that I've known Ijoma, I have really, truly ever seen Ijoma break. So Madhuri, you wrote a good piece. I told you that. And Ijoma, thank you for allowing the vulnerability in. That's what I kept telling them, when they were writing the books. I said, you gotta let the vulnerability, you gotta let it in. And so I'm going to plead with you, Madhuri, if you don't want me to send your book to your parents, I need you to let your parents read your book and let the chips fall. Let the chips fall, because it's called growth. You have to let go and just write the book. And Ijoma, thank you so much for daring to go there. That is important. And I know most people that hear me talk about bullying, one of the things I talk about all the time is that when you see the kid sitting alone in the playground, I always say, go sit with them. Don't say anything. 1 second. Just sit with them for 2 or 3 days. And on the 4th day, they're going to do one of 2 things. They're going to say, dude, stop sitting next to me, or they're going to say hi. And so, yes, Ijoma, thank you for going there. Obviously, you work with kids, and I know you've heard me talk about that before. The power of just going and just sitting with someone and just being with them, So, Judith, go ahead. You're muted, ma'am. Okay.
I wanted to say that Madhuri's piece, my part of my story, I just mentioned a little bit about my children's experience as new immigrants. So when you were reading, and when I read your story, I was crying, because those are my children. But my children didn't come out the way you did. You were able to come through. My children are still struggling. And it's a real difficult, very, very difficult for you as an immigrant to come to a country with these dreams for your kids, only to come here and for no reason other than the color of their skin, for your dreams to be shattered. So I want to thank you for sharing, and also about mental health. That really touched me. And I remember when we did our book launch, Mia's mother-in-law said your story was the one story that really touched her heart. Thank you for being so vulnerable, and always be vulnerable, because you are saving someone's life.
If I may say something, Madhuri, I know her from not residency. I was her attending during residency. So we worked closely for 3 years. And to read this about her, or to now find out that she was, struggling or having this issue, and she always showed up. She was always very nice, very sweet, taking care of the patients. It really just tells you that, you should, when you see people in the morning, you should just say hello to them. I mean, you never really know what people are dealing with, and at my job yesterday, we actually started doing something similar. Everybody has to share their experiences, and we give everybody like a protected time. You don't see patients, you don't do any clinical work, you just have time to just clear your head and leave early if you have to. So Madhuri, I know you. I mean, when I brought the book to Stanford Hospital, they were like, I know her. I'm like, yes, you know, they were referring to you in the book. And I'm happy that you're in a good place now. But I really, I kind of feel bad that I didn't sense it, you know, because you were a wonderful, terrific resident at that time. But keep it up. Take care.
Yeah, actually, after Maduri was on my podcast, I ventured into the 17,000 man group of the African American doctors on Facebook, and I asked them if they had is it called the SMART program? What is it called, Maduri? The program that you have in your
Yeah,
for residents. What's it called?
it's called the Smart R. So it's
Yeah,
smart
SMART
and
R.
then
Thank you.
hyphen R. Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember, and you know what? 17,000 people later, they were like, "What is that?" And I know this is not about doctors, it's not about residency, it's about the human being and how we can perfect our mask wearing. Because when you were on my podcast, all I could hear was, she needs to write a book. She has to write a book. And I followed you and I chased you down until I said, write it, just write it. Because it was just your episode was so powerful. And it's one of the most listened, downloaded episodes of my podcast. And I have 200 episodes or more. So when I'm saying that you do know how to tell, the part of it that gets me is when you said, but these kids, you know, they're stealing my math homework. They're friends, right? Oh, I don't know how you put it. I'm paraphrasing. Yeah, they're my friends, right? If anybody doesn't know what it means to be an immigrant, I swear to God, I hope Oprah reads your story. I hope Oprah, because she will put this on her favorite things. He said, I hope Oprah reads your story, because I mean all the stories, of course, but yours, and I kept coming back to you and telling you, Marjorie, don't change anything, because you went there, you went into the vulnerability department and came out victorious. So can anybody please give Morgan a round of applause? Has anybody been watching her facial expressions? I don't know. I was just saying, her teachers are just, I've been trying my best to keep it serious with it. And I see Pat crying, and I saw Chinyere went there. And thank you all so much for allowing the vulnerability in. That's the only way you can write a book that will resonate. Forget all of the makeup. What people resonate truly is when you tell that broken piece. And so I saved the best, I think, story in the book for last on purpose. I think also was a guest on my podcast. I cannot read Dr. Andrea's story again because I work with suicidal youth. I can't really read anybody's story again, but I get triggered when I read Dr. And when I read it as the editor, I stopped for a while and I couldn't continue. I did not want to do the project anymore. And then my mom said, you have to finish this. It was just too, but I'm glad she wrote the book. But I did stop. I stopped. And my mom said, no, you can't. She was crying on the phone. She was in Nigeria. She was like, you have to finish the book because of the story. And that reminds me of my second book. I had a girl who was Indian in the book, a teenager who did the ultimate thing. And I stopped writing. And so my sister had to say, you know what? You cannot be a good author if every time something happens to one of your characters, you stop writing. And I thought about it. I said, you know what? I'm going to be who I am, because that's what makes me me. Just stopping sometimes when it gets too much. And Andrea's story, I don't know if you guys haven't read it. Please do. So Andrea, I'm just going to leave it at that and let you just take it away.
Thank you. This too shall pass. I graduated medical, page 11. I graduated medical training and kept telling myself that things would get better once I get a real job. and he would see my worth and things would change. Things only got worse. I felt like I was a failure and I just wanted to be done with everything and die. The years passed and the abuse began affecting my children, particularly my son. He was older and his father was teaching him how to become a real man. My son was having such a hard time that he begged me to leave his father and our home because he couldn't take it anymore. I was at my wit's end. My son's words were like knife in my heart. I remember growing up asking my mom the same thing, but she never left my stepfather. I could never understand why she didn't remove us from that unhealthy environment, and I always resented that. I blocked out those years of my life as much as I could and never thought of them until I saw myself in my son's eyes and in his desperate pleas. With the little less self-esteem, mental and emotional strength I had left, I packed up my children, left, and moved into an apartment. The following few years were a blur of stress, anxiety, depression, and healing. I blamed and questioned myself for the longest time for everything that happened. And I felt I was a total failure for not trying harder to make the marriage work. I had to remind myself that it takes two people for any relationship to work. I promised myself I'm not going to cry tonight, but I did. It's all good though. It's all good. It's part of the healing. Every time I read, I feel like something is peeling off and I feel lighter. So thank you. Thank you, Dr. Lulu. Thank you, ladies. Okay. Professional personal motto, you can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending. What legacy would you like to leave behind? The legacies I would like to leave behind are the same ones I teach my children. Always be kind, stay humble, work hard, and never give up. In any circumstance, even during the darkest times, there are things to be grateful and thankful for. If you could have lunch with one woman, who will it be? And actually mine are two as well, my grandmothers. They lived and survived World War II, and I would ask them about their experiences, lessons learned, their faith, and what was one thing that kept them times. My favorite from my home country is one of the sweet holiday breads with walnuts or poppy seeds, and it always reminds me of Christmas in my childhood. Quotes that inspire me: strong people don't put others down, they lift them up. Just like Dr. Lulu, shining the room, and we're shining with her. Sometimes our lives have to be completely shaken up, changed, and rearranged to relocate us to the place we were meant to be. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you again. I failed to mention, during these months and hanging out with wonderful ladies in our group, the personal transformation brought me lots and lots of healing as well. And I truly appreciate every single story. I read every single one of them, and it's just amazing. It's just amazing. I think our resilience binds us together for life. And Dr. Lulu, I had the same issue when I was reading your book, the Teen Suicide book, the blue covered one. Remember this exact title? Yes. I was reading it before our interview, long time, or our podcast and everything. It was when COVID started, because I got full, I was sick and I was home. I was crying every night, but I could not put it down. I kept going because I felt like, and that's when I realized I had to tell my story as well. So thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm going to read mine really quickly, and then I just want to say thank you again to Tino, who introduced me to Morgan. And let me say that before I finish, I wanted to ask of the library, like we haven't asked enough already. You have read the stories, you've heard the ladies. If you do have any kind of events that you need a speaker, I am asking that please look here first. Look amongst these beautiful faces. Who came here today? Not that the other ones, they couldn't come for whatever reasons, but there's nothing as powerful as hearing someone. That's why I said, for a change, let's do our questions, because it's something that we haven't really discussed before. So Morgan, you have my email. You're invited to our book launch, and so is Tino. But really, even after this, as you meet people and people are asking for, people have events, and these girls are really good, and everyone is just that one connection away from stardom. You know, Dr. Phil needed Oprah, and that's what everybody knows that much. Iyanla Vanzant needed Oprah. Lisa Nichols needed Steve Harvey. Sometimes you just meet one person and that person just sets you off. So I'm asking on behalf of all the girls, all 22 of us, but more so the ones that came today, you've seen them. If you ever have something that you're needing speaking, and just ask me, please. I will definitely get you the person who will fill that space. So I'm going to read from page 41 of mine. I'm going to say, lastly, as of the 1st of January 2021, my wife and I decided to go our separate ways after over 8 years. If anyone had told me we would not grow old together, I would never have believed them. But it was no longer working out, and we parted as friends. And while I would love to blame it all on COVID-19 or the year 2020, I know in my heart that the signs have been there all along. The vase already had cracks. The lockdown was simply the blunt force that shattered it. And I stole that from Iyanla Vanzant, by the way. One day, soon after the split, I was on the phone with my eldest offspring, crying and pouring my heart out to them. After listening for a while, they asked, "Mom, what are you afraid of?" I sucked in my snort and whispered, "I don't want to be the woman who is divorced twice." Without missing a beat, I heard my child, my beloved young adult's voice respond with, "Mom, what if you are the woman who chooses happiness twice?" Thank you so much for listening to me. My 5 questions will be professional and personal motto. If you dare to believe it, you can absolutely become it. Who to thank? My inner child. She endured sexual assault before the age of 10, bullying and rape as a teen, and domestic abuse and discrimination as an adult. I think she's badass, if you ask me. Biggest mistake, not knowing and loving myself enough and settling. I think I settled for my first marriage. I definitely settled. I think I settled for a job that maybe I didn't really like, but since we can't see the future, we just think, okay, we're gonna just take this one. And then something I read somewhere, they said, don't settle for good because it might block you from your path to great. So don't settle for good. And that's what I was doing. I was settling for good enough, but really, I didn't know that there was great out there. Who to have lunch with? My ancestral grandmothers on both sides, particularly the 2 grandmothers that I knew, but I missed their funerals because I lived in the diaspora. I know people who are not immigrants, they don't know that we miss out a lot. There's one of us here who missed out on her mother's burial. I don't know if she wants us to share her name, but she missed out on her mother's burial because she lived in America. People who are not immigrants do not know the pain and suffering behind the word immigrant. And that's why I can say, I know this for a fact, that immigrant suicide is a huge secret that immigrants keep. And we do jump because of all of these things that we've talked about today. Sometimes we call it resiliency, but truly it's trauma. I'm just going to come out and say it. I would ask for blessings as I write the 52nd. Oh, yeah, well, Anne, thank you. I didn't want to say your name. I would ask them for blessings as I write the 52nd chapter of my life. I want to know how they overcame doubts, what they did when they felt lonely. What were their childhoods like? What was life like way back then? Then I would ask for a long, warm hug. I'm a hugger. And each of the grandmothers was married to men who were the epitome of patriarchy, one more than the other. My grandmother on my dad's side was the first of 8 wives. One of the wives, the last wife, was younger than my mother. So I don't know. I would like to just kind of sit and just chit chat with them. What I'm most proud of is what I call my VFAB, which is vulnerability, fearlessness, authenticity, and boldness. Even as I struggle to find them sometimes, coming to America was a dream come true. I would do it again, and I wouldn't change a thing. Life is an adventure, and I'm finally settling in for the ride. I love that I have raised children who are smart, intuitive, and mentally balanced. They are the best of me. They are the best in me. They will fly the family flag very high long after I'm gone. Thank you so much for the opportunity, Morgan. This has been, I think, the best 2 hours I've spent in a long time. And I'm glad. I know you said it was going to be intimate, and I'm happy that it was intimate because the girls got to share, you know, when we got to see sides that we haven't seen, and there has not been a dry eye every 20 minutes. So I'm happy. I'm happy that this happened. And thank you so much because, you know, one of my friends said this a long time ago on his wedding day. He said it to his wife. He said, I know my raps are smooth. He said, I know my raps are smooth, but even the best orator needs a good listener. So to Tim and Judy and Annette, I believe, and of course, Tino, not Tim, Tino, Judy, and Annette was here earlier on, and of course, Morgan. I want to say thank you for being the listeners that we needed today. I've had an event where no one came, and then after 19 minutes, 9 people came, and none of them were parents, and yet the talk was for parents. But they were the 9 people that needed to be there that day. So thank you for being the people that needed to be here today for us. And I'm very proud to fly the flag of being a warrior woman. I love my scars. When I was married to my wife, she used to just love to look at my stretch marks, and I was like, I hate them. And she would say, no, they are lifelines. She would say to me, they give life to your children. And today, I don't have them anymore because of the miracle of surgery, but I miss them, I guess. But I have the kids to prove it. But yeah, you have been our lifelines today. So thank you for listening to us. And yes, I do have an ugly cry. It's one of the things I'm very proud of. You know, deal with it. Peace out, y'all. I'm done. Yes, speaking. All right, thank you so much, Dr. Ann. So we're going to have a minute to see if we can get any feedback from the audience of 3. And if we don't have any feedback, that's okay also. Thank you so much for staying till the end. So we're going to open the mic to anyone who's in the audience who wants to say something to us that hasn't typed it already in the chat. And I wanted to just mention, if I could ask for a copy of the video when it's ready so we can post on our Facebook page. And also for everyone who is here, if you would like to please maybe take a screenshot and post it on social media and tell everyone that it was an awesome meeting. And we had one more question for everyone, but I'm going to let that question go. And we'll just never reveal that question. I think, Dr. Ann, would you agree that they answered the questions even before, even though we didn't ask them? Would you agree?
I would agree.
Yes. All right. So, Morgan and Tino and Judy.
Yeah, if you have questions or feedback, go for it.
I just like to, I just want to say to each and every one of you, I can't even measure, I can't contain, I can't even define the gift of your vulnerability, your authenticity. Girls, I'm telling you, raw is real. And every single one of you made that choice. And maybe reluctantly at first, but Dr. Lulu was there to cheer you on and maybe sometimes to boot you in the butt or whatever to move you forward. But you did it. You showed up. You said yes, and you gave your stories to the world. But it's more than stories. You've given hope. Now you're going to make me cry. You've given hope. You've given them inspiration. You've given them something to truly grab onto that is tangible, that is real, that is measurable, that is life-giving, because you all came out of it, every single one of you. But had you not given yourself permission to be real and to just share the rawness and the good, bad, and the ugly, there would be an awful lot of people missing the message and the blessing and the lessons for decades to come. But you did it. You showed up. And you are such an inspiration to me, but I just want you to know, I've committed myself to be your #1 cheerleader from the very beginning, and I will continue. I love you all. You have no idea of the inspiration you are for me, but I'll be rooting and tooting for you till glory, and then we'll have one heck of a party. But thank you. It was just such an honor to join you all tonight. Bless you all for blessing me.
Thank you, Judy. Yes, you are definitely the queen cheerleader if there's ever been one. From the first day I asked you to come and point to the girls, you were like, where do I sign up? Like right now. And you know, everybody needs a Judy in their life. And Judy, you've been just like Pat, we've never really met in person, but I know it's going to be a very warm hug, a painful one for those of us who inherited fibromyalgia from our days of trauma, but a necessary one nonetheless. So I'm going to let Tino, the one and the solitary Don Quixote in the mist today. Thank you so much. And take it away, Tino.
Yes, first of all, I just want to thank you. I think it was really, really great. I'm glad it was 2 hours in a lot of ways, because it takes a while to get, past the intros and into the actual conversations that are really meaningful. I read sporadically, right? I think I'm on a reading kick right now for the last couple of years. But one of the things that I've had the pleasure of reading the last 20 years, because part of my career has been dedicated to assisting immigrants, has been immigrant narratives. And this was a really great collection of immigrant narratives, a really great collection of narratives in general. And I think that's one of the things that, like Judy was saying, the narratives are when they're personal narratives, they're so much different than somebody else's account of what you lived. They're different from fiction, which are also great things. But I mean, the real narratives coming straight from a person, you really can't beat it. I've had the privilege of working with so many people who have told me their stories, and I mean, it makes your jaw drop, your eyes get big when you're like, what happened to you then, right? But also then to see over time how people overcome things. And that to me has been one of the great experiences of my own life, where just watching other people who have had to deal with so much more than I can ever possibly imagine, find a way to find incredible success, much more success than I've ever found. So I'm always just happy to see it. I'm happy to hear about it. And I'm even happy to hear about the stories of people who, struggle, because that is also a very real thing. And I don't think that we should ever sugarcoat the things that we all face and the human things that make it difficult. So I'm very appreciative, and I'm waiting for volume 2. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Morgan, we're going to hand the mic over to you, unless, of course, anyone has any last minute statements. But yeah, Morgan, you have been amazing, AHMAYZEEN. That's how I spell amazing. Thank you so much. You have been just phenomenal. I actually had someone ask me, is that the real spelling? I was like, yes. If I say that's the real spelling, it's the real spelling. So that's it.
Sure.
So I'm gonna write that in the chat. Judy, you were, I mean, not Judy, well, Judy too, but Morgan, you were amazing. Thank you for this journey started in May, even before the book was out.
Yeah.
You saw that, and that's, to me, Tino, this really goes out to you. Even before the book was out, you said yes. What an amazing person. So yes, you are both amazing, and that's all she wrote. Boom, right there. That's it.
Thank you, Dr. Lulu, and thank you to each of you warrior women, and for Judy and Tino for joining us tonight, and the other folks that joined in for parts of it. This was, I'm not even going to try to use words because I don't think I would come up with any words that would adequately express how impactful tonight was, and to hear all of your stories. These are stories that need to be told. And so I thank you, each of you, for, yes, being vulnerable and sharing things that are not easy to share. So thank you so much for that. Yes, certainly I will, I've enjoyed working with all of you, and certainly will keep you in mind, for future opportunities, or, I'm definitely willing to, kind of quote unquote vouch for y'all if you're looking to do other programs for other libraries or organizations or whatever. My experience with y'all has been nothing but fantastic. So appreciate that so much. And yes, the video, we'll post it on our YouTube channel, and I will send the link to all of you, and you can do with that whatever you choose to. It'll be posted probably in a couple of weeks. But yeah, thank you so much for everyone for tonight. This has been a wonderful, wonderful evening. Thank you, all of you who have put so much of your heart into this project, because that really shows. So I think that's all we have for tonight. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. Take care, be safe, and have a good night.
Good night. Thank you.